Hello, everyone, and welcome to Autism and Adulthood, the podcast where we have honest conversations about navigating life with autism, disabilities, and complex medical needs. I'm your host, Sharon Williams. Whether you're a parent, caregiver, family member, or professional, my hope is that every episode leaves you feeling encouraged, informed, and reminded that you are not walking this journey alone. Today's guest, Deb Hughes, has a story that is both deeply personal and incredibly inspiring. She has walked the road of raising a medically complex child, experienced unimaginable loss, and today continues to encourage and guide other families through the wisdom she's gained along the way. All right, Deb, thank you so much for being here. I truly feel honored to have you on here today. We're gonna jump right in. I want to start off by asking you, tell us a little about your son.
My son Daniel was diagnosed at 2.5 with a very rare disease called Alexander's disease. It's a leukodystrophy where the white brain matter, the myelin sheath disappears, and he would eventually lose all of his abilities to walk, talk, um, eat,
Wow.
uh, ultimately until he passed. He was told when we were first given the diagnosis, we were told until the age of 6 to just take him home, love on him, and just give him the best quality of life while we still had him. I'm very happy to say that we were very blessed to have him for 14 and a half years. So Daniel made a lot of doctors go, what's going on here? And so it was just a long journey, but a very short journey, for the 14 and a half years, but he was just very funny and, uh, even though he was considered nonverbal, he just had a great wit about him and just was, just such a blessing.
Wow. And it's really, I think it's so awesome that you look at it as a blessing. A lot of times, oftentimes people lose a loved one, especially a child, and they can never see the blessing in it. So I think it's awesome that you look at it as a blessing to have had your son for longer than what was initially, I guess, told to you by the doctors. Can you share a little about your journey as the parent of a medically complex child?
A journey it was and continues to be. When he was diagnosed, I was still working in corporate, about minimum 60 plus hours a week. And then there was 15 years difference between me and my older son. So one of the biggest struggles on that journey was how do I continue to work that many hours to keep my job while having to take care of my oldest son because he wasn't yet driving,
Absolutely.
doing what
Wow.
he needed to do and keep his life going, without as many interruptions as possible, all while trying to do, the speech, the OT, the PT, the aqua therapy, the equine therapy, all the different doctor's appointments, and then, not really having childcare because once a child is considered special needs or complex, daycares won't touch a child. So that was a very difficult journey to navigate until I was able to find, an in-home caregiver, and e kind of blessed that I was able to have the flexibility with work, but kinda cursed because
Absolutely.
that meant that Daniel had to be in the office with me in the lab, and I would have to work, like, sometimes overnight to make up for the daytime hours that I missed. So, it was
Wow.
kind of a blessing, but kind of a curse at the same time. So that
Understood.
was, a very difficult journey until ultimately being laid off, which made it much easier because then I didn't have to worry about corporate.
Wow. That's a lot when you think about it, Deb. I mean, just trying to navigate a job, your son. I mean, it's just I don't know if people that don't have to go through these type of things, if they even understand what people go through. That is just I just can only imagine that was a lot at the time. Can you kinda share, looking back, what were some of the biggest challenges your family faced as a family?
Isolation. I feel, everybody deals with news, devastation news, completely different. So my older son and I kind of had the same reaction, like Daniel's either going to be healed on earth and we get him longer, or he's going to be healed and go to heaven. So we kind of carried that thought process through the entire journey. So we kind of handled it or dealt with it in that way. My husband, not so much. He was angry. He um, just really couldn't handle it, I guess. So that was very difficult as a family, um, as a is our immediate family, but outside of our immediate household, it was very difficult of how our families, isolated us. They wouldn't ask about them. They didn't really wanna hear anything, and then "Well, if you would just this, or if you would just that,
Wow.
why are you putting your, illnesses and issues onto your child? Like, that's not fair to him," and trying to describe to somebody who doesn't get it and who doesn't understand rare diseases, um, it's very difficult, very frustrating, and very isolating. So
Wow.
you learn very quickly who true family members are blood-wise, and then obviously, the friends as well that who you thought were your friends quickly vanish, for whatever reason. So, uh, that was a lot of the challenge that we faced as a family,
Wow.
as an immediate family.
Understood, because as you know, I have a special needs, son, and, the isolation is real. I mean, with us, initially, we went through some of the same things, and I think sometimes people just don't know how to react, family included, and friends, to having I guess what we would say, not a normal child, you know what I mean? And,
Right.
it's really affected me. I'm sure it did you initially, but for me, initially, it really affected me, having to deal with the isolation and people not really understanding or making comments because they are not really, comfortable, maybe, I guess I should say, with the situation, or it's different, it's not, you know what I mean, your typical child or something like that. So it's a really, for us, it was difficult at that the isolation piece. So I'm glad you pointed that out because a lot of families, I'm sure, go through that. I know we did, when especially when Kyle was younger. So, thanks for sharing that. Um, what do you wish you had known earlier in your journey?
The available resources, where to find help, what exactly was needed. A lot of Daniel's journey was me basically, I don't like to use the word troubleshooting, but if you could visualize troubleshooting, like, hey, he's not walking. Why is he not walking? Oh, well,
Mhm.
maybe he needs, the hearing, or maybe his vision or something. So a lot of what I wish I learned early on was who to go seek the help based on the symptoms that you're seeing. Because when you have a pediatrician saying, oh, you're overreacting, you know, um, everybody goes at their own pace, but if with all of the peers that you're seeing these babies sit up and yours can't even roll over. Like, as a
Wow.
mother,
Wow.
something's wrong, and then everybody would downplay. So early on, I just kind of wish that I knew all the resources that were available and where to find them. And then how to navigate insurance. That seems
Wow.
to be a never-ending battle no matter how old,
Yes.
but what
Yes.
I'm specifically referring to is my child couldn't eat, so he was on a G tube. Well, he couldn't do regular formula, he had to have a very specialized formula that you couldn't buy in stores.
Wow.
Insurance would not cover his nutrition, and so I would have to advocate and fight, like, I cannot get his formula without a prescription. This is a prescription. This is like, I just can't go to Walmart or Kroger. I have to get it. So therefore it is basically a prescription, like you should be paying for, kind of a medicine or whatever. And so early on, it was just a very huge struggle, and nobody helps you through it. The
Wow.
DMEs don't help you through it. The doctors, the specialists, nobody helps you through it. So you're the one that's learning how to advocate. And so that would just be something that would be amazing if there are such people that can navigate or help parents learn how to navigate so it doesn't feel like such a battle.
Wow. That is a lot, Deb. I just, like I said, with me having a special needs son, I just still can't imagine as we didn't have to go through some of the things you went through with your son. It's just, wow, you are definitely a hero to have gone through all of that. One of the things I admire most is how you've taken your own experiences and used them to help other families, which leads me to my next question. Through your own experience, you've become a wonderful resource for other families. What are some of the most important resources or programs parents should know about?
Whether you use them or not, I think that they should be very, much aware of these programs. Parent to Parent is an excellent resource. You
Yes.
can
Hmm.
go and find things, and you don't necessarily have to call them, but it is on their website. Focus, used to be called Fragile Kids. They merged and became Focus. They are an amazing resource. They can help you with equipment. They help with respite. They hold summer camps. They hold family vacation, not vacations, but retreats.
Wow.
They have grants. So every quarter you can apply for a grant, and it's like $10,000 family maximum or child
Wow.
maximum. So
Hmm.
that could help with, like like me, I was able to get the ramp for my van once my son was 100% wheelchair bound, and
Hmm.
that was $10,000 I didn't have to come out of pocket.
Wow.
So that's a huge resource. There are, I believe every quarterly, if I'm tracking the timelines correctly, there are fairs that are around the Metro Atlanta area. Sometimes they go north, they'll go south, east, or west, and it's where all of the different companies and providers and Gap and the DMEs, everybody, lawyers, they all go and do these fairs. And so
Wow.
you can gather information and like you're one on one with these people. That's where you get the truth right out of their mouth of, hey, this is what the Gap service is. This is how you qualify. Here's what we do. Um, the
That's awesome.
families, the Facebook, there are support groups very specific to, like, there was one very specific to Alexander's disease for my son. I know there's
Hmm.
a lot out there for,
Hmm.
for autism, whether you're an adult or child going through it. Spectrum, Autism Speaks. These are the type of programs and resources that are, Debbie Dobbs, Bobby Dobbs, in community. So there's different waivers and programs out there that families need to learn and reach out and see how it could help them as a whole unit.
Wow. Lots of information there. Thank you so much. Do you mind me asking you, um, was your son on any type of waiver, state waiver?
Yes. So after multiple, which is why I started doing what I did, it took me a very long time, upwards of a year, I believe, to get
Hmm.
accepted into the Katie Beckett.
Okay.
Because they did not recognize at the time we went through it, they did it based on diagnosis, not necessarily, they also did level of care, but it was
Hmm.
very much your diagnosis code. And so when I learned that he was getting denied solely on his, um, diagnoses code, I flipped it, made it number 2, and put autism as number 1, F84, and
Hmm.
immediately got approved. So we
Wow.
did the Katie Beckett waiver, we got the grant from Focus, and then I did the Bobby Dodd, um, not the in community, but the Bobby Dodd waiver. And
Hmm.
then we were also, I call it kind of pre-approved, for the Now Comp. That was
Okay.
something I failed to announce there, at the previous question, but Now Comp, strongly encourage any parent to apply now, no matter how old their child is, because it could take upwards of 10 years to get approved.
Absolutely. Yes.
It took us
Yes.
7.5, and he got approved, and then, obviously, each year we would go through what he needed, but that was a 7.5 year wait.
Yeah.
So
which is really ridiculous, to be honest with you. And I try to tell families as much as I can the same thing you just said. Please go on and apply for the waiver as soon as you can, even if they're little toddlers and you feel like you don't need it. Get them on the waiting list because you're so right. That waiting list is so long. And I mean, even like you said, 7.5 years is that's a long time.
Yes.
And then you have to endure certain things yourself until you're eligible for the waiver, your number or name comes up. So definitely great advice, Deb. I appreciate that. What are some of the biggest barriers families face when trying to navigate the system, you think?
1000% insurance.
Hmm.
The available spots of what you're trying to get. There is such a shortage of therapists and providers that, the waiting lists are insane. And then a lot of the providers kick kids out the moment they turn 18. It's like 18's this magic number. Okay, bye bye. And so I feel that that's huge barriers that parents ultimately have to face and just navigate. And it's just very unfair, which life's unfair, but I think it could definitely be way better.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree. Um, there definitely got to be some changes to make things a lot more smoother. I feel like families should not have to go through all the hurdles that they have to go through. So I totally agree with you on that. Beyond the resources, there's also the emotional side of this journey, and it's just tough for families. So I'm glad to have you today because it does shed light for other families, maybe someone's listening that, need encouragement to hang in there, whether it's the waiver list, whether it's, some of the other, programs that Deb mentioned, hang in there and, just know that you do have, um, the support of people like myself and Deb, that either have gone through it or is going through, um all of these hurdles in reference to trying to get help and deal with the emotional side of things as well. Um, my next question, Deb, is what words of encouragement would you give to parents who feel overwhelmed or discouraged?
Piggyback off of you, never quit. Never give up. Don't let their no's be the final answer. You are their voice. You are their advocate, no matter what age, and let your voice be heard and never accept no for an answer. Just keep going, keep pushing, and be that bulldozer unapologetically.
Wow, great advice. Um, how can our communities do a better job of supporting families who have children with complex medical needs or disabilities? What do you think the community can do?
Education. Don't be scared to ask questions. Don't be scared to say, hey, I may not be able to help every which direction, but what can I do to help? Whether it's just for the moment, whether it's just holding a child's hand while you tie your shoes so the child doesn't elope. I just think that instead of judging and staring, it doesn't hurt to just go up and say, "Hey, can I carry your bag while you put your child in the car seat?" or something of the sort. Just really becoming educated and aware of what families go through when they do have, these challenging, uh, non-neurotypical children, right? Because every journey looks different. So regardless of how these families struggle, just don't be afraid to ask the questions. And we as a community in the special needs community, sometimes I feel like we really want to help each other, but also a lot of times I feel like we judge each other and try to go, well, my situation's worse than your situation. How about we don't compare and we just say, how can we band
Oh,
together?
that's a good one. That's a great one. Great comment. I like that because that is so true. Um, wow, that is definitely true. I've encountered that over the years where um, families have, felt like, Kyle's walking around. He looks fine to me. You know what I mean? That type of
Right.
thing, not knowing the half of it, what we're dealing with. But, like you said, to piggyback off of that, let's not let's not judge each other. Let's not compare. Let's just support each other, you know? So I totally agree with that. Totally. Um, your son's life continues to impact so many people. I have a question. Your son left an incredible legacy. How has life shaped the way you encourage and support other families today?
Indescribable. I used to believe that I appreciated every day, that I appreciated all the milestones. You really don't realize that you don't appreciate it until you have a situation like mine. Um, Because of Daniel, I have found myself more understanding, more graceful, more willing to help people and go and feel uncomfortable to help somebody else feel comfortable. Um, Put myself out there to help with the waivers and the IEPs and the advocacy and, just kind of help them. And then, just my life, what I do now for a living
Mhm.
and just how I carry each day. Ultimately, it's all for the glory of God, but
Absolutely.
it's also about what Daniel taught me.
Wow.
No matter what he was going through, no matter how grim life was for him or how much pain he was in, he pushed through and you would never know it looking at him.
Wow.
And so I try to carry that every day and also, to just let parents and encourage them, to try the best they can to do that as well.
Wow. In closing, and I ask every guest this question. So, if you could leave one message of hope for a parent who's facing an uncertain future with their child, what would you want them to know? I know you've stated, you've given some great advice, and encouragement, but is there something, like, just something in particular that you would want a parent to know?
Enjoy the moment no matter how difficult it is,
Mhm.
because there's gonna be a day that you look back and say, "I wish I did," or "I
Mhm.
coulda, shoulda." Don't do that to yourself. Enjoy the moment. Memorize the child's smell or their smile, maybe their movements or noise that they make,
Mhm.
because the future is not guaranteed. It doesn't matter if you have a medically complex, terminally ill child, you have a child with autism, you have a child with cerebral palsy,
Mhm.
just mental retardation, it doesn't matter, right? We are all alive, and life is not guaranteed tomorrow. So if you do the best you can in staying in the moment or staying in that day and not worry so much about the future, yes, it's hard, but it's worth it because then when, maybe in my situation when there are no more days, you can look back and say, there's not a stone that I didn't and that I didn't look under. There wasn't a time where I wished that time away. So just the more you can stay present, I think the more fulfilled and blessed you are, regardless of how difficult the journey is.
Great, great. I like what you said, the more you stay present. That's so key. Deb, thank you for trusting us with this story. I know your honesty, your strength, and your heart will encourage so many families who are listening today. And thank you to all of our listeners for joining us for another episode of Autism and Adulthood. If this conversation encouraged you, please share it with another family who may need to hear it. Until next time, remember you are not alone. There is hope, there are resources, and together we can continue building a future where every family feels seen, supported, and encouraged. Please check us out. If you need to email me, sdwilliams@autismandadulthood.com. Until next time, thank you.